the people that I see that are truly successful, or the people who kind of hit their goals or do the things they want to do, it's how much time are you willing to spend on it. And so, and that kind of goes into the next point that I'm really talking about is consistency is key.
Alrighty, guys. Here we are in this episode of the Light on the Trail podcast. I've told y'all I wanted to do a bit of picking up the brain of some coaches. I am joined today by Mr. Luke Scribner. He's a coach and the founder of Nomad Endurance. And that is, he'll kind of explain what that is, but you've got quite some information going on, a great Instagram, and also on his website, Nomad, I want to say, is it Nomad Running or nomadendurance.com?
It's runnomadendurance.com.
That's what's messing up. Run Nomad Endurance. Awesome.
If you can add some extras here and there to get the LLC and all that stuff. So that's what it is. Runnomadendurance.com.
Gotcha. And we'll definitely touch on all that stuff where people can reach out to you and contact you towards the end too. But yes, Luke, thank you so much. I was just saying, I appreciate your patience. We've been able to finally get a time that works for us. Throw in technology issues and fill in the blank. Whatever's going to happen will happen. And Thanksgiving just happened as well. So, but no, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you giving your time to be on the show here in the podcast and talk to our listeners. And hopefully we can all learn some things. But so how's your running been in practice and everything? And today with the weather getting cooler, it's been really nice. But today was actually like. It's been back and forth, kind of like Texas style, but today's was a little chillier down here at this end. But because I think you're, I was going to say north, but I'm not sure exactly where.
Yeah, I'm located in the Dallas area. I coach at Wiley East High School, so it's a lot of early morning grinds for me. I'm still training and stuff. I've dabbled a little bit in the trail racing industry. I won the Ramble and the Brambles 2 years ago. Broke the course record and all that kind of fun stuff. It was a muddy mess. That was kind of my first, take with the trail running side. But I usually stick to the roads, 5K, 10K, marathon, half marathon. I've got a lot of races coming up for myself. But dude, man, the cooler weather is so much easier to train in, especially when you're in Texas. Because you're in the wintertime. We do get some of those days 20 miles an hour with 20-mile-an-hour winds. Which those are fun. You better get it back. But man, just getting where you're getting 40, 50 degree weather, it's just so much easier for the body to recover, all those great things. So I am so glad this weather is what it is now, man. It's so much better than 90 degrees and sweating your butt off in the morning. So
yeah. I like the cooler weather as well. Especially it like perfect what you said in the morning. It's so frustrating. Like we're okay. It's Texas. It gets hot here. We understand it, but when you wake up and it's already like 89 degrees, whatever, it's like, dude, it is what it is.
we have a lot of humidity up here in the Dallas area. Just so many lakes around and all that stuff. And like, I'm serious, like my high school kids at Wiley East will practice at 7 a.m. And it's cooler at 7 a.m. than it is at 6 a.m. because the humidity hasn't lifted yet. And so I'll get up and try to get some miles in before they will, and I'll be drenched in sweat. And they're like, "Coach, what's wrong? Like, it's not that bad right now." I was like, it was bad at 6 a.m. when there was 0 breeze and 90. It felt like 87 at 6 a.m. So, man, I envy those people who get to train altitude and have the cooler weather all the time, or in California and that kind of stuff. Man, it's amazing for sure. So.
Have you, and now kind of I was going to ask about your, we'll kind of go into your background in health and fitness and kind of what, how you got started, how long you've been coaching and everything. But have you heard, I've heard this before too, that kind of humidity and heat training can have the same effects on a body as altitude training does. So we kind of have a little bit of those benefits.
Yeah. So I actually got my degree in exercise physiology from Tarleton State. And we'll kind of get into my background after I touch on this, but
okay.
I always say that humidity is poor man's altitude.
Oh, nice.
It is. It really is, because, your body still has to work harder to replace those red blood cells that you're losing from the humidity as it does, with the altitude as well there. It's not the same. You're not going to get those red blood cell counts that are going through the roof, like if you're training at altitude or you're born at altitude. But you do get a big change. And so when that cooler weather does come, you'll see kids that drop, 15 to 20 seconds, or, hey, you start running 20 to 30 seconds faster a mile on your easy runs. You're like, what the heck is going on here? It's easier to run. And the body's able to kind of replace the oxygen a little bit better there. So yeah, I mean, there is a correlation, kind of in between heat and humidity and altitude. Obviously it's a little bit differently, but I mean, if you take a person who's trained at heat and humidity and go run them at altitude, like it's like they're breathing through a bag. But if you take somebody from altitude and have them run in the heat humidity, they're not going to make it, man. Their body is just not gonna, make it, not be able to perform well. That's one thing that I saw when I coached at the college level, at Texas A&M Commerce. We had a lot of the schools such as Adams State, Colorado Mines, all those schools. And we had our national championship race in Kingsville, Texas.
Okay.
So 98, 99% humidity, 90 degrees every day. And these guys are having to run the 5K and 10K and they're dropping like flies. Versus if we go run in California, hey, it's sunny and 70, 65. That's easy for those guys that are coming down from altitude. But yeah, there's a big difference, man. And I think, if you can train the heat humidity, and be able to put the minutes in, not necessarily worry about the miles, then, it can be a huge, difference maker mentally as well as physically.
Okay. That will awesome. You explained that very well. Again, kind of backs my thought of why I wanted some coaches on here to talk about that. And that awesome. Perfect. So thank you for explaining that. Yeah, but go ahead. So your background and kind of, your drive into health and fitness and coaching and everything, because it's with, like you said, you're a high school coach, which is awesome. And then you also do, everybody, all ages, which is, it has to help you understand, every kind of person, because we're all different. So continue, sir.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I got my degree in exercise physiology at Tarleton State. Ran college there, ran the 5K, 10K. It wasn't anything special. Coming out of high school, I was like a 420 miler. I feel like everybody runs 420 nowadays. But went to college, ran decent. Never really had any coaching until I got to college. So it was a huge difference for me getting there and having people to run with and coaches and all that kind of good stuff. So after college, I started coaching at Melissa High School. Had the opportunity of coaching some really, really, really great kids. We finished fourth at the state championship. I had a kid who won the Triple Crown twice. He was one of the top eighth graders in the nation when I was coaching him. He was running 430s as an eighth grader, and he was nuts. He was a very talented kid. And then my little brother was on that team. He was also very talented. So got to coach some really great kids and learn a lot. From what I learned so much from is Tom Schwartz. He's a coach. He used to coach the 10-man group, and now he just does private coaching and all that kind of stuff. I kind of worked with him a little bit and learned so much. And we'll kind of talk on some of the training philosophies and all that stuff later on. But so after Melissa, I wanted to go to the college realm. So I went to Texas A&M Commerce, where I was there for a couple of years. Got to coach some great kids, and it was a different level. When I first got there, the team wasn't really in great shape, but I brought in some really great guys. Had two sub 150, 800 guys. A guy run 812 for 3K. A couple low 4.0, almost sub 4 minute milers. So I had some really, really, really great kids, some girls running, in the 17s and that kind of stuff there. And then after that college round, it's when kind of COVID happened. So I kind of made a little bit of a shift. I started the Nomad Endurance thing. We always had Nomad. It's kind of more of a clothing brand that me and my friends started. We were in college.
Okay.
Yeah, we were sewing. We were having one of my friends, Colby Meeman. His grandma was sewing like custom like singlets that we were getting made, going to get fabric.
Oh yes. Oh.
And they're sweet, man. They're awesome. Like there's some pictures, roaming around of us wearing them and stuff. But and so that's kind of how that started, and then it transferred into Nomad Endurance with the camp and all that. So when I started Nomad Endurance during COVID, then I knew I wanted to get back to doing the whole camp aspect of it. So we started my cross country camp along with doing races and all that stuff. And so we've had the cross country camp. That's going to be my fourth year coming up. Last year we had 136 high school kids. It was awesome. I'm going to cut it at 200 this year. So just because I've already had, a couple of teams reach out saying they're bringing 30 to 40 to 50 kids.
Okay.
It's going to be huge. So 4 days overnight camp. I'm going to have like 25 or 30 college counselors from all over the place, from Houston, Texas, University of Texas, Arkansas. There's a couple from Louisiana. I mean, it's everywhere coming. And so it's a really good time.
Dang.
Yeah, man. And then, so I've been kind of coaching the high school realm, and also doing private coaching, since I started Nomad Endurance. Like I said, now I coach at Wiley East High School, here in kind of like a little east of Dallas, not too far, maybe 35 minutes, something like that. And then, so I really enjoy coaching high school kids because it's easy to get these kids to be really good, because a lot of coaches don't know what they're doing, and we'll kind of talk on that. But it's so easy to help kids that, hey, maybe they just need a good training plan, or they need hey, you're not doing any mileage. You're running 3 days a week. You're running 4 months out of the year. Like, you're not going to get better. And then also, like, I really do enjoy coaching people from the 5K, 10K, all the way to the marathon. I've got a person run CIM. A guy that I coach has run Berlin. He ran 228 at Berlin, something like that. Ran really well there. And he was a 16:30 triathlete guy when he started working with me,
Oh,
and then
wow.
So, I've had some really, really great people that I've had the opportunity to coach, from state champions to, hey, my mom wanted to run a marathon and she ran her marathon in 5 hours, or whatever it was. So
Awesome.
she was never a runner, So I've kind of had the opportunity of, being in a bunch of different places, coaching at a high school, coaching at the collegiate level, coaching, semi-professional level athletes that are running, sub 150, 4 flat, that kind of stuff. And then, coaching the just average person. So it's kind of, hopefully that gives me a lot of background and trying to see, hey, what works best for each kind of and style of person,
Yeah, that's I would say a great way to put it. So the range or the spectrum that you've been able to kind of go over and work with people, it is great. With someone that's in such a personal position with individuals, right? Everyone's different. To have a range of, all right, with people to know how to, when you're talking. So if you're a coach or a teacher, you've got to be some kind of good, people skills, or you care enough, right, to dedicate your more parts of your life to and time to helping people be better and working with them and everything. So you've got to kind of understand all these different degrees and spots of way to help people. And there's, you can say the same thing for angles of people that specialize in just, if it's recovery or people over, 50 or 60, and then just high school kids, or just, with these goals and that. So I think having that foundation of kind of everyone, and knowing, I'm sure you've, again, like you said, learned lots. And as we continue to learn, we never stop learning, right? And working to get better. So very cool. Very, very great. Let me see where I want to go with this now. So when you get with a client, what's one of your favorite topics to get into with them, as far as recovery or nutrition or consistency? And I'm sure this can depend a lot on what their goal is. Again, talking about individuals. So are we talking about weight loss, or are we trying to, podium in a race or something? So I guess what's something that makes you smile when you get into it? If it's like building a program or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. So the big thing with me is, like, whenever I sit down with somebody, so a lot of my stuff is either referrals, or people hear of, hey, I'm coaching this person and this person knows this person, and they want to take their running to the next level. And so the big thing with me, so say if, hey, I'm sitting down with you, you come to me and you say, hey, I want to run a marathon. I want to train to run a marathon. Then, okay, hey, first off, let's look at what time you have, right? What time, how much time in a day do you have? Because a lot of people will go, I want to train for a marathon, but I have 25 minutes a day to train. Then I'm going to go, that might not be the best idea to do right now,
Right.
So that's the most important thing. And like, for me, like, I get up at, 5 a.m. most days, some 4:30 some days. and get my run in before my kids start practice at 6:30. And, or I run doubles at nighttime or do those kinds of things there. And so the people that I see that are truly successful, or the people who kind of hit their goals or do the things they want to do, is how much time are you willing to spend on it? And so, and that kind of goes into the next point that I really talked to him about, is consistency is key. That's one of my favorite quotes. I wish I had, I do. I think
It's under
do.
the.
Oh no, it's motivated people find a way. I was like, I have a t-shirt on that says consistency is key on it. I thought I had it on today, but I don't. But yeah, consistency is key, man. If you can put, training days on top of weeks, on top of months, on top of years, that's how you get people that are super, super successful. I trained this one guy named Landon. He's running CIM this week. I mean, he's rolling, man. Like he's what, 40 something, and ran like his old man, we call it old man PR in the 5K this past weekend. And like he's ready to go run this marathon race. But I've been training him for 6 years. And
Whoa.
so, yeah. And so, we trained together for a couple of years, and he took a little time off, and he came back, and then it's just, so it's his consistency over time is what's making him still run really well. And the thing is, the training that we were doing 6 years ago is not the same that we're doing now. So if you're willing to put the time in and have the consistency, then yeah, you may do different workouts. You may have different things or different mileage or different goals, but you're still going to be successful. So those are the two really, really big things that I tell people, because people love their sleep. They love to sleep till 7 or hit the snooze button or whatever. I was talking to a coach today, and he was like, man, I hit the snooze this morning. I was like, I don't even know what the snooze button is on my phone. Like, and so, and then, are you willing to do it like whenever it's hard to do it? Oh, hey, it's raining today. I'm going to hit the treadmill instead of go outside and run. Or, hey, I'm supposed to do a 15-mile long run. I'm just going to do 5. So it's kind of those things there is the big thing that will make a person successful. And so if you have like a beginner, say a very, very beginner, I've never run anything in my entire life, I tell them for the first 2 weeks, do a mile a day. I don't care if you run it. I don't care if you walk it. Do a mile a day for the first 2 weeks.
And this would be to build, to get used to, right, blocking out that time on their schedule. I would think to put in the time. You're going to get on your feet. You're going to do it, because it's something I struggle with too. And I know, and I'm getting better because I'm trying to get better. And I could definitely get up earlier and run. And I have a little bit of a morning routine that I do, but I could still, it's nice to get the run done early in the morning so you get it done. And then again, with consistency, the more you do it, the easier it is, and you kind of hold yourself more accountable. But yes, right. So so if I'm a new person, hey, Luke, I really want to do a marathon, or I've done a marathon before. I've done a little bit of running, in high school or something. I jog here and there. I'm in my neighborhood. I want to do a marathon, right? So you're like, let's get consistent. I need you, Frank, to run a mile a day and just, get it in the books, right? So there's that kind of where we're going. What's next, Coach? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the big thing. Like, man, if they can do a mile a day for the first 2 weeks, then I go, okay, you're at least dedicated enough to do that, right? Even if you're running slow. So then from there, I'll look at, okay, how much, like, what marathon or what race, what's our goal in the end, right? So, everybody's different. Some people are, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, their training is going to look a lot different than a person that wants to go try to qualify for the Boston Marathon. And most time, if you have somebody that says, hey, I want to qualify for the Boston Marathon, they've been running a little bit to know that, hey, this is a thing that I could try to do. It's going to be hard, but I can try to do it. And so whenever I look at that, then I go, okay, hey, here is where we want to be, point C, way down the road, and we're at point A. So eventually we're going to get to the spot where, okay, hey, this is getting hard. Do I want to keep doing this? That's point B. And then, so if you can go past point B, then point B to C is a lot easier than point A to B. You get to the point where you can run consistently, you can do the mileage, you can kind of handle the workouts. Everything gets a little bit easier. So, if they're coming to me and they're like, hey, I sit down with them, I talk with them, kind of like this over the, Skype or in face to face, and kind of just ask them these questions, right? And you'll have some people that, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, this is something you need to figure out, And so if you can figure out the first two things, the time and the consistency, and then what goal you want, then that's where us coaches come into play and say, okay, hey, here's how I develop that plan for you. And like I said, it's a lot of different. I kind of have a style that I do. But man, it's so differentiated between each person and each, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing that's so cool about coaches, because you have to be really in tune with the person. If you're caring or trying to help the person, then yes, right. You need to know what is their goal. If I was a coach and someone just said, they have to give you some kind of direction. But if it's just like, I want to lose weight, okay, or I want to be healthy, okay. But if you had a goal, like there's this race coming up in 6 months and I want to, go at that would probably be very nice or convenient as a coach position. Cause now you have a time frame, you have that date, you can kind of work backwards from there, build them up, what are we at, and just kind of work that, build that up. So, all right, very depending on the goal, right. And building it out to help them. But it's so, I would think, unique for the person. But again, that's what makes, coaches, so special, and they have their own styles. They're kind of like musicians in a way, right? We all don't play the guitar and, the same way. So everyone has their way of how they do it or talk or work with people. So I think that's kind of why I wanted to have these episodes with a coach, so people could hear kind of a more conversation with a coach and friendly. Maybe some people could be intimidated by coaching or had a bad taste in their mouth about some bad experience before or something. And now we're just here talking, have a normal conversation. I was going to ask, and I think we've already touched on it. We can double check though. Something along the lines of, what is one thing that anyone that you coach or any runner needs to implement? Now, I would say, if it's not consistency, which I think is pretty much what we've got to, because I agree too. But is there a common thing other than that you see that you kind of prescribe someone?
Yeah,
okay. Absolutely.
And so with every program, and I think most coaches will tell you this too, there's three things. If there's three things that I could give that every single person should do: a long run. Okay. That's the first. You need to do a long run. Every person should do a long run. It helps with the glycogen depletion. It helps with, all these races that you can go faster, farther, longer, that kind of stuff there.
Okay.
That's one thing you can implement, and so, hey, if I'm trying to do a 5K, okay, then you may only run 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles, whatever. If you're doing a marathon, then you might run 20 miles or something along those lines, right? And do workouts or something along those lines. Or if you're super elite, hey, you might go 22, 23, something like that. So a long run, a tempo run. That's one thing that I love. I almost prescribe them once a week for most of my athletes from top to bottom. And then they may look a little bit different, right? So they may be, for my kids that are running the 5K, they may do 20 minutes total, at like 70 seconds plus their mile pace. So if they're a 4:30 miler, then their tempo runs are going to be at 5:40 pace for 20 minutes. And so that may be 3.5 miles, 4 miles, something along those lines. So the tempo run is something else that you can kind of build up over time, but it will make the efficiency of running so much easier. And there's so many coaches, so many high school coaches, so many club coaches, private coaches who love doing intervals, and they never hit this aerobic side of it. So that's one thing. So the long run, the tempo run, and then hills or strides. That's the other thing that I would tell you to add.
Okay.
So you can do. Go ahead.
Well, to break it down, so, and I'm making sure that I'm understanding correctly too, right? So long run, that depends on, obviously, my long run may be different for someone else's long run. So the goal of a long run, is it just what that athlete, that person finds to be like a lot of time on feet? Depending on miles. Yeah,
it can be 20% to 25% of your weekly volume.
Okay, very awesome. See, awesome.
Yeah.
And then my thought with tempo runs, when I think I'm doing one, or maybe I haven't doing them correctly, and I try to add some kind of intensity to my running. So if I'm running at this pace, say for 10 minutes, and then in my head I'll think, let's do my 5K goal pace for like 2 minutes or something like that. Is that kind of what you were You were saying
Yeah,
you kind of hold the speed and then you increase the speed for a certain amount of time and you slow it back down, or is it like one constant, like fast speed?
Yeah. So let me. So what you're kind of describing is more of like interval or something like along those lines.
Okay.
So kind of how I would do a tempo run. So say if hey, I'm a 6 minute miler, whatever, right? So that's you. If I told you to go out, we're gonna run as fast as you can. You run 6 minutes. Okay. So what I would do with you is say, okay, I would prescribe like a 10-minute warm up, so 10-minute easy jog. You're warming up, all that kind of stuff. Then come over, do some drills, do some light stretching, and then we're going to get on a flatter loop. And then I'm going to have you go out and run 7-10 for 20 minutes. That's the goal. The goal would be to get to 20 to 25 ish minutes, somewhere right around there. You can start off with 10 to 12 minutes. And then, okay, hey, I'm going to start off with 10 minutes. And then next week, I hit the pace. So next week, I'm going to go to 14 minutes. And then I'm going to go to 18 minutes and then 20 minutes. So it's continuous the entire time. And when you do, so it's just hitting. So basically, your body has, it's called aerobic threshold. So above the line is where you start accumulating lactic acid. We want to be right on that line. We don't want to accumulate any lactic acid during this run.
Okay.
So that's why you do the 20 minutes, that kind of thing there. So that's what those look like. Unless of the long run, usually done on Saturday or Sunday, 20% of your weekly volume. That's how you do that there. And then you could do, say, if you do a long run on Saturday or Sunday, then on Wednesday, you could do a tempo run with a 10-minute warm up and 10-minute cool down. Hey, you're getting 40 minutes of volume in today. That kind of thing there. And so some people may be running 8 or 9 minute miles. Okay, hey, you might be able to go for 3 miles or 4 miles once you kind of build that up there, and so that's okay there.
Okay.
But those two things can really help you with your speed and your aerobic system and feeling the efficiency and that kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you. And then to not derail our conversation too much, so the number 3 is
the number 3 thing was hills or strides. So how I do hills is a couple different ways. So either I'll do like same thing, do it as workout style where, hey, we're going to run for 30 minutes today. And on the way up hills, we're going to like really work and push and run maybe your 5K pace going up the hill. And on the way down or the flats, we're just running easy and then going, accelerating up the hills down. You can do it like that. Or another way that you can do it that I usually try to do with some of my kids is I'll have them go run for 30 or 40 minutes and then come back and then they'll do 6 to 8 times 8 seconds up with a walk down rest in between. So what that does is it makes the body, while you're tired, you're still working on your efficiency and your speed and the turnover and all those things there.
Okay. And that makes sense. And again, I've heard and, listened to and consume a bunch of all the running content that I can and for years now. And I always know it's great you really need to put something in your workout or your plan that is going to push yourself. Have days that are easy, hard days hard. If the intent for this thing and constantly I hear, put some hills into your activity. And I try to, there's a handful of hills that I've been able to find out here. Like what you've said, but like having not just specifically the hills, if it's just high intensity, I guess that's one thing, but I always try to keep moving after, like I don't just kind of stop, like, okay, let me see if I can, I will recover even if I'm jogging at this like 8-minute pace or whatever. And then when we get to the hill again, get on it and then slow down. So I try to, and that's what I've heard, kind of let you'll be actively recovering as you can still move. You don't have to quit and like bend over on your knees, so great. That sounds, you've explained it all very well. I like it.
Yeah. and like I said, that's just the basic line. Like, hey, if like somebody's listening to this podcast, they're brand new to running. They have no idea what to do. They don't want to follow the couch to 5K plan that they found on Pinterest board or whatever. Then you could do something like that, and like I said, the schedule, you could go Monday, you could do an easy run. Tuesday, you could do an easy run with the hills. Wednesday, you could do a tempo run. Thursday, Friday, easy with the hills. Saturday, a long run, take off on Sunday. You could do something like that. And that's super easy. You don't have to go super far. It'll help you get fit for anything from the 5K to the marathon. The more volume you do, the higher your long run gets, that kind of stuff there. So
Right.
it's kind of helps you there. So
Again, right, depending on the goals and everything. What about which I try to throw in. I did actually today. I was a good boy. But like strength training as
absolutely,
far as weights. Yeah. And that's something too, I would say, depending on the individual, of course, and depending on recovery or what they're working through. But, and that's why I just want to touch base with you. I'm sure you throw that into it with certain people, but is it, an important thing?
Yes, absolutely. As you can see, if you watch, like, if you go on FlowTrack or you go on YouTube and watch all these professional runners, they spend time in the weight room 2 or 3 times a week. And the thing is, they're not getting under the bench and benching, 300
Right. Yeah.
But being strong as an athlete and as a distance runner will help you in the long run, with injury prevention, with just efficiency, those kinds of things there. So you can do things like body weight squats, dumbbell squats. You can even throw some weight on the bar. I usually try to go about 65 to 75% of your max. So say if I can, if I can squat 200 pounds, then the most I'm ever going to do is 120, 150 pounds, something like that, and do a lot of reps. Work on that, long, lean muscles is what we want. Doing a lot of body weight stuff, a lot of reactive stuff, barefoot drills. All those things are just going to be huge, like positives for your success and that kind of stuff there, man.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Right. And that's, we'll touch base on that. Right. Of course, that's kind of part of the whole picture, that little piece of the pie of the Venn diagram, get it all in there, be fit with a focus on, running or whatever that goal is again.
And most coaches, as they create their plan, like they will say, okay, hey, here's a scheduled day that we're going to do a workout. And then we're also going to do strength training. Like for me, I like to do my strength training on the same day as a hard workout because we're already breaking the body down, right? We're breaking the body down on a hard workout for the run. So I want to continually, if we're already going to break it down, might as well do our strength training on the same day. So on our recovery days, we can recover. Like you said, on the easy days, we recover and run easy. Hard days, we go hard. So people don't think about that. They think, oh, well, it's just a weight day. I'll run easy so I can be like, no, like might as well. If you're already here, you just add it to it and go from there. So
yeah, right. You're in it. It's not supposed to be easy. It's going to be hard. Do it. And I like that. Get it all done in one day and you don't have to think about it a couple of days ahead of time. Awesome. So let's, we'll get into like kind of your side just to ask you and talk like, running track stuff, but like what races you have coming up in 2025 or kind of some things you went through in 24 that was fun or you enjoyed. And then I was also going to ask about, which we kind of talked about the endurance camp and we can get specific on that too. But then also I don't think it was the camp. I think I saw that you put on some races as well in your towns. So yeah, awesome. So what highlights of your Luke's 2024 running kind of season, and then what do you have planned coming up, or any goals that you're working for?
Yeah, so this year has been pretty uneventful for me, man. I've run a couple races, but the big thing with me is just trying to stay in shape and get in shape. In 2018, 2019, I was really, really in good shape. I was training with those college kids still. I was not far out of being a college athlete. And I'm still training with them. I was running good. I ran like 8:30 in the 3K. I ran 69 minutes and a half. I was running really fast then. And then had a tibial stress fracture. I actually got bit by a dog, which caused me to start limping. Had a bunch of stuff go on, so I kind of had to work. I had to take a lot of time off for that. And then the past couple of years through COVID, was kind of ups and downs. So this year has been like big with me just saying, okay, I'm going to stay consistent all year long. I'll probably hit right at a little over 3,000 miles this year, which is the highest I've done since 2018, which is really good.
Nice.
Yeah. And so, I just want to, be able to just train well and run well. Like I've got the Dallas half marathon coming up next week. So that'll be interesting for those that are if this is 2024, if it's 2025, then hey, I already did the Dallas half marathon. And then coming up in 2025, I've got the Houston half marathon and then the Cowtown full marathon. So it's a very loaded plate in December, January, February. But for me, I'm like, if I'm going to be and try to stay fit, then I need goals, right? When we talked about earlier, I have these goals of these races that I know I got to be fit for. If not, I'm going to get embarrassed. And especially at Houston, like, at Dallas, I think with that course and the weather and just the kind of the fitness I'm in, if I can run 71 to 72, which is 111 to 112, like right at 520 ish to 530 pace, then I'll feel pretty solid about that. Especially because this last weekend we ran the turkey trot. Didn't have a time bib because I signed up late, but I ran 5:33 pace. Pretty even split. I wanted to do a workout there, so we went out and ran 5:25 for the first 5.5. And then the last 2.5 miles were into a 20-mile-an-hour wind. So that I dropped back to like 5:36 on those. So I was like, okay, the effort maintained. I didn't get over 160 in heart rate. So I felt good about it going into Dallas. So hopefully, I can go out at 5:25, somewhere right around that range, and then maintain that through the marathon or half marathon. And then, Houston really try to get after it, try to break 70 because that course is flat and fast. It's kind of hit or miss. I mean, you got girls that are running 107, 106 there. So there's so many fast people. I mean, I think the top 100 people ran under 70 last year. So, if I can just jump in with that race and see and just let them pull me along and go with it. And then the Cowtown, get a check, man. That's my goal. Get a check for a Cowtown and really just because I've struggled a lot with the marathon. I don't know if it's just because I'm 6'1", my stride kind of messes up, and I always have like hip and knee pain. So I've been working on a lot of extra mileage and doing things along those lines, just trying to get the body ready for it. And just had some freak accidents. So that's why I'm just trying to train myself now at that 65 to 75-ish miles a week. Doing 3 workouts a week. So I do a little bit different style training than some, but my typical week looks like I usually throw in an interval workout. Like today I did 4 by mile with a 2-minute rest in between. And then I'm going to have a speed maintenance session, which for me, that's one of my staple workouts that I give my kids and give my athletes. It's 2 sets of 4 by 200 meters with 200-meter jog in between. So it's a cool workout. It's basically 8 200s, but you break them up with an 800-meter jog in between.
Okay.
So that's a 2.5 mile workout that you're running like sub 6-minute pace for me on, because I'm running 30 to 32s on the hards, jogging 45 to 50 seconds. So I'm running, you're running 132s to 133s per lap, and so, it's good. It gets the legs turned over. I really like those a lot. And then I'm actually racing one of our 5Ks that I'm hosting this Saturday. So that's how my typical week looks. I'm really going to go with like the Monday, Wednesday, Friday workout, and then Saturday or Sunday long run. And not really put a lot of placement on the long runs. Just try to get out there and get an hour and a half to 2 hours of volume in and really go from there. So that's kind of my outlook on kind of what this year is going to look like and going into next year. And I would love to get back under sub 15 again for the 5K. That's one goal that as an old man, I really want to do that again. I say old man, I'm 30 years old, which I'm not old at all, but I always say I want to get back to sub 15 again. So.
Oh man, that would be because I'm 31, and that's kind of like I've gone back. I didn't do any like college running or track or cross country or anything. I pretty much ran a little bit in high school, and then just up to myself, just trying to stay fit. I always liked running. and longtime listeners of this have heard me probably say it before, but I did obstacle course racing for about 3 years, like competitively. So that was fun. So it was like mixture, but there's also some like I don't want to say fitness, it's all fit kind of, but like a little bit of other things thrown in. So like, it's not just running, there's other things. That's great. And I stopped for a little bit. And then I recently, again, back past, 2 to 3 years, I got back into it, and it was more interested in really like distance and seeing how many miles I can build up, and started with, like with most people, like a marathon and then longer and further and stuff. And I was, and now getting in that and being, whatever fit, but you just keep moving through goals. And my 5K right now is I'm trying to get sub 20. So
okay.
you saying you saying sub 15 is like bananas to me.
No, man, that's the crazy thing is, and I tell people this a lot because, like, obviously, like, I had the opportunity at a time to really run at a high level, and most places that I go, it's like, hey, you're going to have opportunity to be in the top 5, top 10, those kinds of things. But the average person, like, can't break 21 in the 5K for a male, that kind of thing. So if you get to that point where you're like so say for you in existence, right? You got your own training plan. You talk about
20.
People, that kind of stuff.
I'm like 20, 27 or something like that. Like I'm getting close. Yeah.
So say, and I'll just say this for example, is being a coach and kind of having the whole coaching mindset on it. Maybe you do need a coach. If you're in that point where you're like, hey, I'm doing all this on my own. I'm running with a McKinney Run Club, or I'm running with wherever my hometown run club is. I'm the fastest person there, doing all these kinds of things. Maybe I do need to reach out to a coach and just say, hey, man, can you help me? And then help them. That'll help you get to the next level, right? And for me, like, I don't do private coaching to make a bukus of money. I charge $100 a month, which some people say it's dumb. It's not expensive enough. I should be charging more money. Because I know some people charge $300, $500, whatever dollars a month.
Yeah, that sounds very affordable. Yeah.
And so for me, it's like $100 a month. And that gives me the opportunity to be able to talk to you. We text on the phone. I mean, I've got kids that I text all the time, and just say, hey, what are we doing? How's the workouts going today? Or my adults and all that kind of stuff. And it's always the communication factor is key, man. And you see people that are kind of at a plateau just hit at the next level whenever they get a different style of training or they try something a little new. And then they go, oh, wow, like, I've got a lot more left in me than I thought I did, because maybe your training isn't where it needs to be, or maybe you see something a little bit more. And so, that's the big thing that I'm glad that you're doing this podcast. So people that are maybe in that same position, I was kind of, they get the opportunity of going, okay, hey, I can start adding hills to my workouts, or I can start adding a tempo run because I just do, 5 by 5 minutes, or I do 1 minute intervals, or whatever the things there, instead of doing a sustained effort. So hopefully they can do some stuff and really take the next step and go from there. So
that's exactly it too. For someone that, like you said, is in that spot and thinking how to improve for the next 2025 is going to be my year. I'm going to hit this goal or whatever like that. And then maybe come to some conclusion like, I bet I could do it much easier if I had a coach and maybe beyond my goals. Right. So that's again, perfect. I know you said you had, I didn't know, I forgot your race coming up. You said that's this weekend. And is there another race? You have 2 a year? How many a year? Sorry. Okay, and
so we do a bunch of random stuff. So if you go on our Instagram, that's where I'll post most of the stuff. So right now we have a couple races coming up. So every year I do a winter dash. It's called the Nomad Winter Dash. We do a 5K and a mile. I give away prize money. And that's the crazy thing. Like everything that I make, I give it right back. So if you win the race, like we usually try to do $100-ish for the winner. And last year, a friend of ours, Christian Noble, he's a 13:20, 356 guy. He ran 13:20 in the 5K and 356 in the mile. Shows up. Like, what are you doing? He was like, man, I'm here to win some money. I'm like, all right, let's go then. And so we had some people run with him, some college guys show up and run with him and stuff. But man, we just give people the opportunity to race. We get on like local tracks and stuff like that. And we do things like the winter dash. We do, like I said, we do the mile and the 5K. So I have different heats. I don't care if you're a 30-minute 5K or a 14-minute 5K. We're going to have we can separate it up we're going to give you the opportunity to race, and it's not breaking the bank. It's $10 to enter. Those kind of things. And we do the mile as well. So we do ages of, hey, kids all the way to adults, to old people, to professionals, to whatever. We don't discriminate, man. We love it and just love people getting out there and doing that kind of stuff. So the Winter Dash, and then the other race that we have on the calendar right now is the Nomad Beer Mile.
Oh yeah.
So we're partnering with Tufts, man, and it's a brewery here in McKinney. That one's $40 to enter, which is a little bit different. So it kind of helps. Every person's going to get a T-shirt. It's going to have like a really cool design with the Tufts Nomad Beer Mile on it, and then you get your 4 beers with your entry and that kind of stuff. So that's in June. There's a big like country music festival that goes on at the same point in time in McKinney. So that Saturday morning, we'll kind of have our race. It'll kick it off, and then hey, you could go home, shower, get a hotel and shower, and then go over to the TMR festival. So, and that one's going to be really fun. I'm super super excited about that. Tufts is an awesome place, awesome beer, and it's just going to be a big party and have a good time. And we're also going to do a root beer mile there. So for our non-alcoholic drinkers and our kids, like, they'll be able to drink some root beer and do the race still and kind of participate.
Funny. The breakdown of that, is it you drink it and then drink one lap, right? So or is it one lap then drink?
Yeah. So you drink first, put it over your head, and then you take off.
Okay.
And then you go 200 out, 200 back, and then you'll drink again, 200 out, 200 back. So it's 4 beers, 4 laps, or 400.
Right.
And so it's fun, man. It's a good time. And, but yeah, we do stuff like that. Like, a couple of weeks ago, we had a couple high school kids from, kind of this Dallas area, after state that wanted to, get on the track and run a 5K and see what fitness they're in. Because sometimes when you're getting the cross country course, you don't really, the grass kind of messes you up. It's usually about 12 to 15% slower on the grass.
Right.
Track. So we had 15 to 20 people show up, just random. They asked me to put a race together. I did it for free. We had some kids show up, and we do stuff like that all the time, man. So, and we usually we had 3 kids run sub 16. So that was awesome there. And then, we have people running the 20s and the 21s and the 22s and the 24s. So, it's very diverse. You always have somebody to push you.
Yes.
Unless you're 1320 Christian Noble, like, you're you're going to kind of be in your own realm, but it's a cool deal, man. And that's what we really do with Nomad Endurance. It's just here to grow the sport, and like I said, I do pretty much all of it by myself. I have a couple buddies who kind of show up and help out when they can. But man, it's me just trying to grow the sport, growing the love of track and field and cross country, and just getting kids the opportunity to race and older people the opportunity to race. And because there's not many races unless you're going to go pay $65 at some, melon run or whatever, there's, you just pick the season and there's a run for it. There's not really the competition,
Yeah, definitely having, people around you, right? Whatever that saying is, your percentage of the people you surround yourself with. If you can do that with a running club and with a coach, you can only grow. It's, and probably far beyond what you thought, and being, surrounded by that. And I know the more that I, learn about the sport and get involved, and this, you learn more. It's funner. It can be more, more enjoyable and everything, or more fun, whatever the English proper there.
Like
Funner. It's great. And you do have, that's what I'm checking, but they don't have to be local or DFW in person, right? You're saying like they can be in Arizona or Canada, right? Okay.
Yeah, man. We had last year. I did the Winter Dash and had a girl fly in from like Boston or something like that.
What?
I was like, "What do you?" She was like, "I need an opportunity to race. I need to get on the track. I need the time," because she was going to USATF. What's it called? Not it's nationals, but it was older. I can't even think of the word now. But anyways, it was like the old, like when you're over 45 years old, Masters.
Yeah.
Masters.
Oh, okay.
She called me, hey, are you still hosting this? Because at first the weather was supposed to be bad. And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, I'm flying in for this. I was like, okay, then I'll do it. No, I'll just be here. And she was like, okay, cool. So then we showed up and got it rolling. And it was cool, man. She qualified and she went and ran, later on, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty awesome to see. And just, I'm glad that my reach can get out there. Like, obviously, like I would love to have 100,000 followers where we can show up and have races in different places and do things like that. But me, man, the backing is just me and a coach. I'm just the coach and, throw the money I can about making, selling t-shirts or showing up at meets and stuff like that. So it's interesting, man.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's the best kind of stuff though. The people that you're in it for the, the love of it and the appreciation of it. You like that environment and you want to help it grow and all that. Wonderful. So, right. If you're thinking about it and you live far away, don't worry. You still get a hold of Luke. We'll reach out and we'll cover all that towards the end. I have a note up here that I wanted to cover kind of again with you helping me with definitions and things. And this is a term that I think most people hear when they're talking with coaches and building something out. But what is, or how would you explain a training block to someone?
Yeah. So, and like I work, I have 4 separate kind of training blocks that I do. I do a general phase, a strength phase, a pre-competition phase, and then like competition/peak phase, right?
Okay,
so those training blocks are different. You're focused on different levels of training, right? So in the general phase, hey, we're working on kind of building up our aerobic system, getting the miles in. The volume is increasing and the intensity is staying pretty low. So as you go through a training block, the difference of the volume or intensity is going to change or should change over time. And then as you move closer to your race, the volume should go down and the intensity should go up. So training blocks are essentially just, blocks of time that you're focused on a specific task. So, like I said, in the beginning, we're working on getting the aerobic system, building it up. Okay. So the aerobic system is just easy running, long run, stuff like that. We're just working on, hey, we can run every day. We can run 5 days a week. We can do 6 miles, whatever the case may be. Then in kind of that strength phase, we start adding some hill work, start adding aerobic strength work, which, longer tempos, 20 to 30 minute tempos. Hey, we're increasing the long run. We're adding some stuff there. And then in that pre-competition phase, we already have our volume where we want it. So now the intensity can start going up. Instead of doing threshold mile repeats, we're doing, or let's say, I don't want to get too in depth on it. I don't want to start throwing words out. So doing mile repeats at, let's say 80%, like we were doing earlier, if we're doing mile repeats at 85% now. So the intensity is going up, but the volume is kind of staying the same. So that's what kind of essentially when they say training blocks, it's just blocks of, 4 to 8 weeks of focusing on a specific thing. Does that kind of answer it a little bit?
Okay.
Without kind of going super in depth on it.
Yeah, that's perfect. And that's what, again, you hear, or again, someone that's either new or still in it, whatever, with running or in this realm, but you'll hear terms like, I remember it now because I'm talking about it. I'm going to finish this thought and I'm going to try to continue to the next thought over here. So yes, so a training block, I've heard people say like, I'm finishing up this training block and this and that. I'm like, so I guess they had something planned out and they're getting done with whatever that was. Maybe it's just a month or whatever. So that was my thought. Whatever that goal is for this time period, they're building towards something. So, hey, they got some plan going. What was, and this is, you're still a running coach. Anyone that wants to get faster needs, I don't say needs, I'm not a coach, but I know it helps getting on the track or on pavement for most of the trail runners. This is a running podcast. We kind of a focus on trail running, but you can still gain so much. And I still run plenty on pavement and road. And I need to put in some more track time too. But so maybe it's a more cross country or road race. What was the race you were mentioning at the top of the podcast? CIM or something like that? What was that?
Oh, that's California International Marathon.
So there we go. Yeah. I was like, It's got to be a
Yeah,
race.
and so and I can kind of touch a little bit on the trail stuff too, because I did actually did a podcast with a good friend of mine, Matt Daniels. He's a professional runner for Nike. He has finished top 5 in a lot of the major trail runs, all that kind of good stuff. But he
Dang.
was also a sub 4-minute miler in college. So he, did the mile in college and then went to the trail running. He lives in Colorado, obviously.
Nope, trail running.
That kind of stuff. But his typical week is not what you would expect. He's not running the trails every single day. He takes every Monday off. Tuesdays are a typical double day where he runs, 10 to 12 miles in the morning, come 4 or 5 miles in the afternoon. If you're racing 40, 50, 60, 70, 100 miles, like you got to put the volume in there. On Wednesdays, he usually does some sort of like tempo run, longer tempo run, stuff like that. And then Thursday's another easy double day. Friday, he's usually on the track. He usually does some sort of 600s, 1Ks, 400s, something along those lines. And then Saturday, he's on the trails for a long run. He spends 20 miles on the trails. And then on Sunday, he gets on a flat road and just goes and gets the miles in there. So he's on the trails maybe two times a week, something like that, maybe. He's on the track. He does all kinds of stuff. So you just got to have a very, because the thing is, and this is what I believe about trail running, right? Because I've done trail running a little bit. There's a local trails, gosh dang, I can't. Britton Rains, that's his name. He does like trails across Texas or whatever.
You say Briston Rains?
Yeah, Briston Rains. That's the name.
Oh yeah, Texas Outlaw.
Texas Outlaw, that's what it is. So I've ran some of his races and that kind of stuff. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah, Ramble and the Brambles. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that one I won and that kind of stuff. And so, you have all these races that these people are putting on, but you can still train on the road and just go out and run on the trails. You just got to get. If you're doing the strength training and that kind of stuff, that's going to be the bigger factor because your knees, your hips, all that stuff gets sore when you're doing the switchbacks and the ups and downs and the turns and all that stuff. So, man, if you're fast, and so many people will get kind of, I'm just going to go to trail runs now. I'm just going to go run for 40 miles. Like you could still run fast and go run trails. You don't have to say, okay, I'm just going to be a jogger now. Like there's trail runners that are really fast. Especially some of these guys, that are atop of the sport that are going out and running 6-minute pace for 50 miles or 6-minute pace. Like nuts, man. It's nuts. So they're still fast and they're still spending time on the track and doing that kind of stuff. So don't think just because you're a trail runner or you're just a hobby jogger that you don't have your place, on the track or doing some faster stuff. Like everybody needs. You have another quote that I say all the time is, in order to race fast, you have to run fast. So you have to run fast sometimes to kind of get that feeling and that kind of stuff there.
Yeah, 100%. I think that goes along the lines of the whole, and I'll butcher the saying too, but the you win the race, before whatever, you just pick up the medal on race day or whatever like that. It's all the time, you put into being uncomfortable to get the work in, to show up and do it. So, and of course it's running's running. You can get, it. Like I said, particularly there's going to be more rocks and things you could trip over or climbing in trail versus road or to a degree, but we need both. Like I said, I know I spend time both and mix them. So, it's great. And so, perfect way to kind of wrap it up here. Everyone can use both pavement and trail and rockiness, and then he can help you with both of those things. Where can everyone find information about you if they have a question for you or want to learn more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can always reach out to me. You can go to our Instagram page. It's Run Nomad Endurance XC. And then also our website, runnomadendurance.com. And then, there's all kinds of stuff on there. There's our cross country camp page for, if you have kids or if you are a kid listening to this, that you want to come to the camp. Like I said, we've got them from all over the place, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. We've had a kid fly from Florida. I can pick you up at the airport if we have to. We can figure something out there. And then it has our events page, and then also has a contact me page. So you can reach out to me. And then if you don't have access to that, my email is Luke, Luke, runnomad@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, shoot me questions, whatever the case is. If you're interested in some private coaching, then I can help you out as well. Hopefully you got a little bit of an insight on kind of, my brain and my mind and kind of the passion that I have for it and seeing people be successful. And those kinds of things there. And just, really, really enjoy doing podcasts like this where, people want to, get the information out and kind of see the success of other people and all that kind of great stuff there. So.
Yeah, no, Luke, thank you so much. You've definitely showed that super friendly, obviously love the sport, love working with people and helping them grow. Right. It's contagious being around those kind of people. And it's great. I'm sure your students and everyone you work with has nothing but like good things to say with you. And it's also great that you put on races, I think also, so you kind of learn that side of things, and just being really involved with everything and working with kids up and older. Like we said, you kind of feel the spectrum of kind of what you've learned in your experience and things. So I think it's great. It's awesome. Again, thank you so much for coming on here to the podcast, Luke. I appreciate it. And we'll definitely have to do it again sometime. We'll catch up for sure. Thank you, bud.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it. Thanks, man.